Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 29th of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you an overview which we can all relate to collectively, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater detail all the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. This is very much a community. Do share any thoughts you have. I try to interact with each one, but please also subscribe by clicking or tapping on the bell notification symbol. As this week begins, so the Sun is in a very enthusiastic and energizing link with Mars. The Sun's in Gemini, which is fleet-footed, loves lots of quick, short, but bright conversations and has an appetite for everyday knowledge and information. Mars in the proud Leo is a really wonderful location for Mars. It's pushing us to manifest our talents wherever we can. It's just that despite their vibrant link, Saturn is being somewhat of a spoilsport, located in house 12, which can be to do with the people who are not necessarily on our side, or the more psychological or subconscious strands of our situation. Saturn is in a right angle with the Sun, which can slow things down, but it's also in a triangle with Mars. And if we don't really target our efforts in a very focused way, we could end up feeling a bit frustrated at the start of this week. But Wednesday, fortunately, sees Mercury emerge from its post-retrograde shadow. If we go back to the 4th of April, when Mercury moved into Taurus, by the 7th, it started to slow down and go into its pre-retrograde shadow. The retrograde itself began on the 21st of April and ended on the 15th of May. But if anything to do with finance has felt sluggish, has slowed down for you, or you've been waiting for some information or news, the chances are you're going to get that confirmation in the second half of this week as Mercury comes out of shadow, which is like a mini retrograde, but also aligns with the bright energies of Uranus, which is very much about truths. So Uranus in Taurus is joined by Mercury, and some information can come into the open which provides some real illumination, particularly if you have been feeling that things just aren't shifting. Now Venus is the ruler of the sign of Taurus and therefore intrinsically linked to everyday finance, but is currently in the feeling sign of Cancer, and it forges a quite enchanting link with Neptune in the second half of this week. If you're lucky enough to be involved in a friendship, association, or personal relationship, which really is lovely, you can celebrate this with that other person in the latter part of this week. But Venus is also in a direct opposition with Pluto, and that can bring a much more political vibe to bear. But overall, the two influences involving Venus ask us to really count our blessings in terms of our associations, but also appreciate what our core values are, which provide our sense of security, with Venus being in the sign of security, Cancer. But as the week draws to a close, we do have the full moon, the Sagittarius strawberry full moon. So this can be a crop of strawberries, if we like, over the next couple of weeks, but it can also see some strident conversations. The sign of Sagittarius loves openness and can be quite frank, but it's also about higher truths, whereas the Sun in Gemini is about those everyday quick moving chats that are not necessarily always so deep and thought through. So there could be some kind of discussion that manifests itself at the end of this week. If it's about money, if it's about our core values, our self-worth, or a relationship, it really wouldn't be a surprise. But something may need to come into the open which provides illumination, but it could be a little bit uncomfortable hearing what someone has to say. Now, if you would like to learn much more deeply how astrology can have such a profound impact on your life, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data, of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you an intimate understanding of the patterns that have played out in your existence so far. In my special offer of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month forecast, totally unique to you, these reports, and that will give you Syrian insights. If you don't know your time, my new solar reports based on the sun can also be invaluable to you. Please see the links below for more. So Sagittarius, your week commencing the 29th of May forecast, sees the sun in your sector of collaboration, cooperation and partnership, linking brilliantly with the dynamic influence of Mars in the 9th house, which really fits the kind of energy that you're really drawn to, which is being adventurous, independent and free-spirited. So if you can connect to people who share your love of exploration, knowledge, trying something different, that really will set your week up perfectly. But Saturn is set to have a massive impact on this week. Saturn is an influence that can be restrictive, and it's in the part of your situation to do with home, family and emotion. If there are issues that are inhibiting you from really going for it in quite the way you would normally like, you probably will need to look at them rather than shrug them off, because if you do try to do something more daring, those emotional or family demands or domestic needs are probably going to stop you enjoying it quite as much as you could. Now, if a relationship matter is also at the centre of this particular dynamic, I feel that the full moon in your sign is really pushing you to confront this once and for all. Now, Mercury has been going through a very brittle part of your situation since the 4th of April, which has been great for trying to grapple with details, but the details may have seemed a little elusive. The great news is that in the middle of May, your ruler Jupiter bolstered this area. Mercury emerges from its post-retrograde shadow, which has been perhaps creating some sluggish energy, and it merges with Uranus as this week draws to a close, and suddenly something that seemed rather hard to penetrate or understand, clarity can dawn. Venus forges two very important links towards the end of this week, which could be good for your finances or could see you drawn towards someone who's very mesmeric, and its link with Neptune suggests that the bonds with others don't necessarily have to be only romantic. It could be a connection to someone at a more spiritual level. But as the week draws to a close, whatever your relationship situation, the full moon in your sign is asking you to grapple with it, and Saturn in your sector of emotion is saying deal with that emotional, family or domestic stuff first, and then that will help you to connect in the way that you want around your relationships, or to really come to a key decision about an existing tie.